What if I told you one of the biggest debuts of the last decade was secretly in the works for a celebrity's daughter? And what if the online rumors of a multi-million-dollar contract were swirling, only for it all to vanish without a trace? This is the story of Arissa Lebrock's phantom WWE career. For years, the internet has been filled with gossip about why Arissa, daughter of action star Steven Seagal, never made it to a WWE ring. They say she failed her tryout. They say she was quietly blacklisted. They say she just couldn't handle the pressure. But what if the story you've heard is just a myth? The truth is a far more compelling story of resilience, a brutal injury that almost no one knew about, and a comeback that proves legacy isn't what you're given, it's what you build. Let's separate the facts from the fiction. It all started in December 2019, when the wrestling world was buzzing with reports that Arissa Lebrock was heading to the WWE Performance Center in Orlando for a multi-day tryout. This wasn't just another legacy kid getting a look. Arissa wasn't just the daughter of Hollywood royalty. She was a successful plus-size model, a reality TV personality, and, most importantly, a legitimate martial artist with a background in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She had the look, the pedigree, and the combat sports experience a promoter's dream. Behind the scenes, the excitement was reportedly palpable, and the rumor mill went into overdrive. This wasn't just a tryout. It was an audition for what many thought could be a starring role. The whispers of what WWE might have had planned for Arissa were nothing short of massive. According to unverified online reports and pure fan speculation, the company saw a crossover superstar. The wildest rumor claimed a contract was being discussed that was worth a staggering $3.5 million over multiple years, a figure that would have instantly placed her among the highest-paid women in the company. To be clear, this was never confirmed, but it's the kind of rumor that sends shockwaves through a locker room. A contract that big for an unproven rookie, regardless of her famous parents, would have been seen as a slap in the face to the dozens of women who had grinded for years for a fraction of that money. The speculation was just as ambitious for her on-screen debut. The most popular fan theory had creative developing a blockbuster storyline for her, supposedly leading to a marquee match at WrestleMania against none other than Charlotte Flair. The concept, Hollywood royalty versus wrestling royalty. It was a story designed to be electric, blurring the lines between scripted drama and the very real tension a massive contract could cause. The stage was set in the minds of fans for one of the most explosive debuts in modern history. The money was being talked about, the dream matches were being fantasy booked, and the wrestling world was holding its breath. And then, everything went silent. So, was Arissa Lebrock banned? Did she fail her tryout? The truth is much simpler and far more unfortunate. The real reason her momentum came to a dead stop happened during that notoriously grueling multi-day tryout at the WWE Performance Center. The PC is a meat grinder designed to push the world's most elite athletes to their limits. And somewhere in the chaos of those high-stakes drills, disaster struck. Arissa suffered a severe career-threatening injury. While the exact details were kept private, the consequences were catastrophic. In a single, heartbreaking moment, the dream was shattered. Any potential WrestleMania plan, any rumored contract hit, was all off the table. Because she wasn't officially under contract, WWE had no obligation to make a public statement, and they didn't. Arissa Lebrock just disappeared from the wrestling world. This official silence created a vacuum where false narratives took root. The internet speculated that she must have been a failure. The reality was far more tragic. She wasn't banned. She was broken. The silence that followed wasn't proof of failure. It was a period of intense pain and a long, arduous recovery. The physical rehab was grueling, but the mental and emotional toll was even worse. In her own words, Arissa later revealed how the experience led her to a dark place, admitting, in a statement, "I realized that I had become comfortable in the darkest, worst place in my life. The world thought she'd quit, but the truth was she was fighting a silent battle just to get back on her feet." A dream put on hold can either destroy you or forge you into something stronger. For Arissa Lebrock, her time away from the ring became a rebirth. And it all started with a life-changing phone call. The call was from Dustin Rhodes. In pro wrestling, the name Rhodes is royalty. And Dustin's son, of the legendary American Dream, Dusty Rhodes is one of the most respected minds in the business. Now a veteran star and acclaimed coach at his Rhodes Wrestling Academy, Dustin heard what happened to Arissa and saw her untapped potential. He offered her a second chance. It wasn't a shortcut back to the spotlight, but an invitation to move to Texas and rebuild herself from the ground up, away from the WWE system. Arissa jumped at the opportunity. She left her life in California and dedicated herself completely to the craft at the Rhodes Wrestling Academy, a gritty, old-school gym where respect is earned. Here, she wasn't a celebrity's daughter. She was a student starting from square one. Under Dustin's mentorship, she began the tough process of not just healing, but transforming. She worked with a personal trainer to get her body back into peak condition. Dustin helped her connect the dots between her raw martial arts talent and the unique psychology of pro wrestling. She brilliantly started to merge the performance art of her mother with the combat art of her father, blending her foundation in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu into a unique and devastating in-ring style. Dustin Rhodes was incredibly impressed, stating in an interview, "She's doing a great job, but this is only the beginning for her." He then made a bold prediction. Pretty soon the whole world's going to be talking about Arissa. After months of this quiet, grueling work, her moment of truth finally arrived. In March 2023, Arissa Labrock made her official in-ring debut at a student showcase for the Rhodes Wrestling Academy. It wasn't at WrestleMania, but in front of a passionate Texas crowd. Reports from that debut described her performance as powerful and brutally efficient. She had done it. She had overcome the injury and the self-doubt in that ring. She wasn't an injury statistic or a failed prospect. She was a survivor. She was a professional wrestler. The story of Arissa Labrock in WWE isn't one of failure, but one of incredible resilience. The narrative of a botched debut was a myth born from the silence that followed a devastating injury. The truth is, she was never banned or blacklisted. She was sidelined by a setback that would have ended most careers. Instead of giving up, she rebuilt herself from the ground up, sought out the mentorship of a legend, and made her real debut on her own terms. Her journey proves that legacy isn't what you're given, it's what you build. She has transformed herself from Steven Seagal's daughter into Arissa Labrock, the professional wrestler. The door to a major promotion that slammed shut in 2019 may not be locked forever. Now, she's a far more compelling prospect than she was then, a proven fighter with a redemption story that is pure wrestling gold. She didn't just inherit a legacy, she forged a new one. But what do you think? Now that you know the real story behind her comeback, do you believe Arissa Labrock has what it takes to be a future champion in a major promotion? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.